Welcome back, Life After Baseball family. This is Extra Innings. As always, it's your boy JP. I got my co-host right here with me.
Yes, sir, Chris Campbell here.
And you know we got this dynamic duo. Today we wanted to get into a conversation that I feel like a lot of us don't really talk about, but we all go through it, and it's that what if conversation. Now, you might be thinking, what are you talking about? What if? What if I made it?
What if I didn't have surgery?
What if the coach liked me?
What if I went to a different school, or that first school that I was, considering, end up going to a different school? I mean, there's just so many different what if opportunities, and I think it haunts us the most, especially, speaking on one of the other blogs that we had dropped, and where we were talking about just kind of giving yourself grace, right? Giving yourself grace after you hang up your cleats to find something to kind of, I don't want to say replace baseball, but to kind of fulfill yourself a little bit similar to how baseball did.
Basically fill that void, and to take it even a step further, it can also be very scary, because you can also think, damn, what if I don't find something I love as much as this game?
Yeah.
So, and it's very real, because I went through it, personally. My what if list, I was telling Cam, off camera, my what if list was completely like a scroll from the Bible, because of the fact that the game did not end on my terms, bro. So you can, as many books as there are in the Bible, bro, I have as many what ifs that, for baseball that came with it. But that's just because, the game didn't end on my terms. And, when you have the game not end on your terms, for me, it didn't end on my terms in the sense of my first round of it was with my surgery. Having Tommy John, my first thought and notion is, what if I didn't have Tommy John? What if I would have took care of my arm the year that it mattered the most? The year when I was throwing my hardest, because the year that I tore my ligament was the year that I topped my...
Senior year?
Yeah. Senior year of high school. That was the year that I topped my highest velo and everything like that. So what if I would have took care of myself and did all of this? That was the first one. Then I had Tommy John surgery. And you already know that I'm fighting with the clock now.
Yes.
Now I'm battling a clock. Now, once I had the surgery, it was already, boom, clock's ticking. What are you gonna do? Can you bounce back from it? So then now my head is like, damn, not what if I bounce back? Am I gonna bounce back?
Yeah, that's a huge what if, especially as a pitcher, right? And for those of you watching, for the most part, you'll understand what Tommy John is, right? Surgery, I believe, is what, UCL?
Is your UCL ligament in your elbow.
Right,
so just to show you guys real quick, I had my elbow cut into.
Right, so then that's one of the most common surgeries in baseball, specifically for pitchers.
Yes.
Right, and as a pitcher, your whole game is based off of your throwing. So think about that. Somebody who's a pitcher who, their game is based off of the health of their arm, and their arm staying healthy, now you literally take away their whole game. And that what if is a big what if, because it's like, yo, am I going to be able to throw as hard? Is my stuff going to be as good?
Absolutely.
Can I even throw again? Because some people have issues, throwing again just because of how messed up their UCL is. So.
Not only just that, I'll tell you it from someone who's been there. It's not the physical blockage it's the mental block.
I already knew you were going to say that.
It's the mental block that it haunts you and daunts you the most, because you want to know something? Your arm is going to hurt regardless, because you're breaking scar tissue. But now what scares you is that, for me personally, I went 18 years never thinking about my arm, just going out there throwing, giving 100%.
Yeah.
Now, when I step onto the field, I step onto that mound, or I even pick up a baseball, the first thing that is thinking is, I don't want to rip my arm up again. I don't want to go through this again, because what if, here we go again, what if I tear my elbow again, and now I have to get surgery again? Now my chances have just dwindled down even more, because in comparison to other surgeries, Tommy John, you have the highest chance to come back from as far as your arm is concerned.
And I think it's because it's been so common that they've been just so good at being able to get people kind of back on the field in shorter time than it's usually taken before.
Absolutely. So then, but compared to like a labrum surgery, you get told that you're doing labrum surgery, your what if just turned into you're not playing again.
Yeah,
because I've had friends who had.
That was my what if. I'll never forget when I tore my labrum and I went into this was right before I went into my sophomore year at Monroe College, and I'll never forget, because one of the Canadians, Guy, shout out to Guy, he's probably one of the purest hitters I've ever played with outside of my boy Zay, but Guy had labrum surgery, and I already knew he was out for like a year and a half. So once the PT, once they was like, oh yeah, usually when you dislocate your shoulder, you tear your labrum, my heart sunk.
Cause you heard labrum, and it was just.
I already heard you're not gonna play for a year. Draft is out the picture.
Yep.
You might not go get back to draft status. Like there's just so many what ifs that I dealt with, you know, at that time, and it was tough, man. It was extremely tough. I'm a little different, I think, because I don't necessarily have regrets at all when it came to baseball. Because even though it didn't end on my terms, I was at peace with my career and where it ended. Because of the fact that I was at peace, I don't really think about, oh, what if I didn't have surgery? Because for me, surgery, hindsight, it gave me an extra year to develop. I got to play with some of my boys that had transferred on my redshirt junior year when I was at Monroe. So, and then the things that led up to that and the things that I'm doing in my life now I don't think would have happened if I didn't have that surgery and didn't have the red shirt.
100%.
So I don't have regrets in that aspect. And once again, I'm at peace with where I'm at. But I do have sometimes that what if I were to stay healthy and, you know, were to be able to focus on just my game instead of coming back from a labrum surgery.
Right. Another what if that I feel like also plays into our heads a lot, and it hurts a lot, is what if I didn't let down my family? What if I would have made it, and all the sacrifices, and, you know, what if, you know, mom and dad didn't have to dish out the extra $300,000 because, you know, we were going to be traveling and staying at a hotel for this or for that. All of those extra days and all of that extra money and the equipment, the fighting chains that don't make me a better player, the wrist guards that really don't make me a better player, and all the accessories that I'm over here.
The fighting, that's throw, man.
All of these different, you know, the Evo Shield guard when you the first time you molded or whatever the case may be, like all of these little accessories that, like, I was like, mom, dad, I really want them, I need them, that they made that sacrifice for. What if I would have made it and that wouldn't have been for nothing? And like, I can't, even though I just said, you know, what if it wasn't for nothing? It wasn't for nothing, but that's just the thought process that an 18, 19-year-old kid is thinking at the time when the sport that he done dedicated his entire life to has just now ended. And I feel like the what if conversation really messes us up because it all ties back to things not ending on your terms, things not being on your the way you wanted to go. You know, for me, for you were lucky enough to where you were at peace with your decision.
Yeah, it's very rare. It's extremely rare that you're in the position that I'm in where you're at peace, you know, and I wish and hope this podcast allows other people not necessarily to be at peace with it, but to be able to find something to fill that void much faster than it took us.
Yeah, because, you know, in comparison to you, you know, my what if stood with me for a very long time because I didn't end on my own terms and I wasn't at peace with the decision because I knew in my head and in my heart that I was, one, destined for something more than what my life was doing at the time. Two, I felt like I had the talent and I had everything in me to really genuinely make it. Like, you know, it's one thing to go and, you know, you be a good player or whatever, but to go from state to state to play on different teams at different levels and always be regarded or picked out of the bunch as like one of the top players, you know that you stand out. So when something like that doesn't pan out and it doesn't come through fruition, like, I'm just sitting there and saying like, yo, I'm a failure. I messed up. I did everything wrong and I had everything right there. So then it made me start going back to think, yo, if I would have just started working out like my dad told me to, if I would have just been running like I was told to, if I would have went to those extra practices instead of saying, nah, I don't really feel like going, when I was falling out of love with the game and everything like that, all of those moments, they all culminated and came back to that. I'm thankful for it because had I not done that, who I am today would not shine through. Because I'll be honest with you, that kid at 18, irresponsible, lazy, talented as hell, but couldn't tell him nothing.
I can relate.
Couldn't tell him nothing. And you want to know something? It makes me go back and think back to my coaches, especially my coaches in Keystone. Coach Chev, if you ever see this, yo, I don't know how you dealt with me, But the fact of the amount of chances he gave me and you gave me after constant messing up off the field, not even just on the field, messing up off the field and not understanding who you are off the field is going to matter as well. I apologize, and I realized that, all of that I brought up on myself.
Yeah.
So then it goes back to, what if I would have just been listening to what my coaches were telling me? So, I say that to say all of that from a perspective of someone who wasn't at peace for a long time with the decision of baseball not working. Become comfortable with yourself, like I said in the last vlog. Become comfortable with yourself as not an athlete. And also realize that your what if list is going to continue to get longer and longer the more you think about it. And I always say it, and I always say it personally, I'm glad I didn't make it, because I know for myself how much I love the game in comparison to the business side of it. I was not ready for that, and I know that if I would have got there and business started to over trump playing, I would have hated the fucking game.
Yeah, and just to kind of speak on what he's talking about, I kind of felt that a little bit once I started playing college ball. We dealing with coaches that may need to fight for their job, and things are more of a business, and you kind of stop having fun. And even at that next level, where you get drafted or you get signed, everything is a business at the end of the day, because this team needs to make money and they're looking for the best players. And sometimes you may be going through a slump or something like that, and you may get cut because business is business, but that kind of takes the fun out of the sport, right? And sometimes when the game of baseball isn't a game anymore, that's when like the passion goes away, and you're just like dragging yourself out of bed, just to show up for something that you don't even really love doing.
And that's why when Jordan had mentioned it, he had made a good point when he was just like, I'm not trying to go to this game, I'm trying to go to prom. There was a certain point, bro, there was a certain point in college where I was just like, every day I knew we had practice at 3 p.m. At 2:40, 2:30, I was tight already. Like, my day was messed up because I'm just like, bro, we gotta go to this stupid field. I'm gonna have to deal with these coaches. They're gonna have us running all the and then like I should have known right there that was a telltale, like, that's it, like this shit is not for you. Like, you're starting to dread it. And the crazy thing was that this is when I really should have picked up on it. It kind of deviates from the idea of what we're talking about right now, but my junior year of college, my last year in Keystone, I broke my hand in April.
Okay. Well, what if you didn't break your hand?
What if I didn't? I was happy I broke my hand.
What?
I broke my hand. I called Baruch and told them I'm transferring. We still had the rest of the season to play out until June, the conference championship and everything. My last day of classes, I packed my shit, I left.
Damn.
I left my college with still 10 games in the season. We hadn't gone to the conference or nothing like that. They told me my hand was broken. I knew I wasn't playing. I have no business being there. I did not want to be there no more. I was done with the baseball. I was done with being there. I didn't want to be an athlete anymore at that point. But it was also a large part doing it for my dad. Because I had always said that I wanted to make it for him. There's going to always be so many different decisions you're going to have to make. There are going to be so many different feelings that you're going to have. There's going to be so many different things that you're going to go through. The biggest thing to get over that what if hump that I personally feel like is stop trying to get it right. Stop trying to get it right and just do and go with the flow. Go back to what you said was your favorite thing that Zach said. Be present in the moment.
I was thinking about that as you were talking.
Be fully, and shout outs to our boy Zach for that gem. Be fully present in the moment so that you can be the best version of yourself. Don't get caught up in, oh, what if I would have did this? What if I would have did that? Listen, if you would have did that, you don't know if you would be here today. You don't even know if you'll be happy today. The case may be. With that what if conversation, there's so many different avenues to go through. Make a decision that you're comfortable with. Start making decisions that you can live with, and just move forward. Everything else doesn't matter.
And one foot in front of the other, right? Just trying to get 1% better every day. And one thing that I can't stress enough that that helped me just in general is your environment, right? When you're around
Yes.
people that are able to support you,
Yes.
around people that may even give you some tough love, right? Like let's not stick in that what if, right? What if this, what if that? Because you're living in regrets, and there's just certain things that you just can't change. But we have, and you're doing a disservice to yourself because you're focusing so much on the past when you have full, like 100% ability to change your future, right? And to start making decisions now to get one step closer to the future that you want to live, right? So once again, right? And I'm big on, feeling what you need to feel, but let's not sit in that, right?
Absolutely.
Let's make sure that, once again, we're at least just something every day to get one step closer to, hitting that goal and just to be in that peace. Even if you don't come to terms fully, when it comes to baseball, maybe you give back to the game.
Exactly.
And you coach, or
exactly.
you help develop, your future kids, and maybe some things that those what ifs, maybe you help change that for your kids. And I'm not saying force your kids to play sports, but that's just an idea, just to kind of take some of the pressure off of yourself.
What if I don't find something that is going to give me the same feeling that baseball is going to give me? That's where you're going wrong. Don't compare, because you want to know something? Baseball, just like in personal relationships, just like with people, it's something special. It's something that it's not going to be comparable to anything else.
I'll be the first to tell you.
You can't compare it to anything else. So you want that realization. You know what? Nothing is ever going to compare to baseball, because what me and baseball had was something different.
101.
It was just, she just understood me in a different way. Like, we didn't always see eye to eye, but when things were great, shit was great. But at the end of the day, I do have other things that I do find joy in. And I'm not trying to compare it to baseball, because I know that it will never compare. So take that comparison of, am I going to find something other than baseball? Yes, you will, but don't compare it to baseball, because when you start to do that, you're going to start to see that, damn, this new thing that I'm interested in, it's cool and all, but it doesn't have this.
Baseball.
It's not baseball. It's not. It's not. Take that comparison out, because comparison is the thief of joy. You're gonna start seeing everything you don't have.
And it's the same thing with the relationships, like how you just said. Like, if you're comparing your current, partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, to your last partner, you're never gonna be able to fully appreciate who you have right in front of you. So it's literally the same concept, right? Like baseball, we love it, we appreciated it, but like JP said, it's going to be very rare to find something that fulfills you like baseball, but you can find something that fulfills you like that thing.
Exactly. Where you're not necessarily looking for it to replace baseball or for it to match baseball. You're just looking for that feeling again. For all my baseball players out there, what are we always told when we do something right, when we're hitting or pitching? Remember that feeling. Remember that feeling. Remember that feeling. It's the same thing. That excitement, that jitter to where you're nervous but you're excited at the same time. When you find something that does that for you, remember that feeling. Take it with you and run with it. I hope that this extra innings talk really helped you guys with that what if conversation. We're going to be doing a lot more talks like this, where we're bringing conversations like this to light, where we've never even talked about this like off camera.
That's a fact.
There's a lot of conversations that we're going to have talking here that you might see us and it looks like me and Cam are here venting on camera to you, because we've genuinely never had that conversation. And it's like, this is something that this podcast is teaching us. Like, there's so many different feelings and things that I went through that I didn't even notice, that honestly this podcast is helping me heal from as I'm going. I didn't even know.
I feel that, bro.
There's certain things from baseball that I'm starting to be able to heal from, that like I'm also starting to see, like, even though I was as talented as I was, there were people who were talented, way more talented than me, and they didn't make it. So I'm just like, you know what? I don't have to feel nothing too bad about it, And just like they found a way, I'm gonna find a way, and that's it. And like that's what we all gonna do. We all gonna find our life after baseball, bro. Like, the only thing is just you gonna watch me and Cam find our life right here. But as always, guys, this is Life After Baseball. We appreciate you. This is one half of the dynamic duo. It's your boy JP.
Chris Campbell here.
And this is the only podcast, the only show that's showing you how to go from dugouts to deals.
Or from cleats to clients.
Wow.
We'll catch ya.